This is the Pro Football Blitz with Brady, Kannon, and James Salinas on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Make this football season your best sports betting season ever. Start your VSiN free trial today to get full access to our sports betting experts, including 24/7 video streaming, daily best bet emails, betting splits with the money and ticket percentages on every game, plus full access to VSiN.com data and analysis. You get everything VSiN has to offer for only $22 per month. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe. One other mention I wanted to make about that Chiefs-Titans game, James, talking about the lack of defense on either side. It's also been a real turn of events for the Kansas City Chiefs as far as turnover differential. They have had 3 straight seasons where they were positive in the turnover differential department. Right now, they are 31st in the league, and their turnover differential is -8. They have 6 takeaways, and they've given it away 14 times. We're only 6 games into the season. Very interesting. So, we've got another game here that we like to play week in and week out inside the Pro Football Blitz, and that is Consider It, Book It, or Drop It. I will read a mystery player or coach's stats here, and James will try and guess who that mystery person is. I will reveal it, and then we will decide if we want to consider, book, or drop making a bet on this person to win a postseason award. And right now we're going to do Coach of the Year, and I'll start with the first coach here, James. He's led his team to a 5-1 start. He ranks 6th in total points per game, averaging nearly 30 points per game, along with ranking in the top 10 for defense, allowing just over 3 touchdowns per contest. Now, he won this award back in 2017, and if he wins it again this year, he'll join an elite club of coaches who have won this award multiple times, like Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, and Mike Ditka. Back in May, his odds to win NFL Coach of the Year were 15-1. They are now down to 10-1. Who is this?
Sean McVay back
in
2017.
You got it. Yes.
Won Coach of the Year. So, I think it's Super Bowl or bust for those guys. I think that's the hard part when you're talking about Coach of the Year, when you have a team that's expected to get to the Super Bowl. And I guess anything short of that is, and I know it's a regular season award, but I mean, the expectations are just so high that, yeah, they're playing the way that they should be right now, and where they sit currently sitting in second place, basically because of the Arizona Cardinals and how well they've been playing to getting out of the gates at 6-0, the only undefeated team in the NFL at this point. Yeah, I'd say you can consider it, but I just think it's hard to take and fire on Coach of the Year when the coach is basically it's Super Bowl or bust. And yeah, you need to win the division for one, and it's a tough division in the NFC West, but also you've got to be one of those top seeds, and you've got to be, at least on the offensive side. We knew that with McVay he was going to be able to expand the offense because there's no more Jared Goff sitting back there and having to condense the playbook. Now you've been able to add a lot of those pages back into the book due to having Matthew Stafford back there and the way that he can throw at all 3 levels on the field. But I guess I'd consider it, but it's not one that I'm going to book.
I think I would drop it, James, because I think you make a good point. The Rams are expected to win it all. And, if McVay falls anything short of that, he's probably not going to win the award. And it seems like they typically award this type of thing for a guy who makes a huge turnaround. I mean, the Rams have been a good team ever since Sean McVay got there. And, you saw last year Kevin Stefanski got the award. He won 5 more games with this Cleveland Browns team last year than they won the season prior. So I think it's a guy that has to make a big splash, really improves his team in a big way, rather than a guy that's kind of been there, done that for a few seasons in a row. I would probably drop that one on Sean McVay. Now, you mentioned in division there, the Arizona Cardinals, coach number 2 here. He has led his team to a 6-0 start. They remain the only unbeaten team in the league, and they were kind of written off. They were the big underdog in the NFC West before the season started. But I talk about that big splash, a big turnaround. You know who this is. Cliff Kingsbury. On May 18th, his odds to win Coach of the Year were 33-1, and they are now down to just 4-1, James. What do you do with that one?
Probably too short to want to book it. It's 4-1 now. You missed the best number. I hate missing best numbers, right? You talk about where they were prior to where he was prior to the season. Now where it stands sitting at 4-1. I think about where Arizona is, right? Well, I don't know. Is he the coach of the year? They didn't even need him last week. He wasn't even there. And what a performance out of the Arizona Cardinals, right? And I think you're seeing a team now that you've got some veteran leadership on that team. That I know Watt coming over from Houston. I'm sure he's glad to be out of that Texans franchise, and not that J.J. Watt's the same player that he was, but he still brings that leadership and that energy into that locker room, and I think that's infectious on this team. And these guys are playing with a chip on their shoulder. They were picked to finish last by a lot of folks in the NFC West, and it's a tough division. But from that standpoint here, this is a team that wants to play play the underdog role. Nobody expected us to do what we're doing right now, and Kyler Murray, what a great season, how well he's performed. But I really think it's the defensive side for me that's been most impressive. Vance Joseph calling the signals there as the defensive coordinator. I mean, I guess I'd probably drop it just because the number is so far gone. Like, yeah, if you win that, you're like 4-1, but I could have had so much better double digits prior to the season. But I would have never expected that through 6 weeks, Brady, that the only undefeated team in the NFL would be the Arizona Cardinals. So contribute to Kingsbury, that coaching staff, and really some of the veteran leadership that we're seeing play out on that defensive side. I think that's what has been most impressive to me is not so much what we've seen offensively, but defensively out of the Cardinals. I mean, what a great performance last week going into Cleveland and handling the Browns from start to finish in that matchup.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having 33-1 on him, and I'm certainly not going to grab 4-1. But for me, I just don't see him as one of the best coaches in the NFL. Now, he's proven everybody wrong right now, but we'll see what happens down the stretch. All right, coach number 3 here. This coach has his team off to a 4-2 start. They are 11th in points per game, averaging almost 25 points per game, but they do rank in the bottom half of the league as the defense is allowing 25 points per game on average. He's one of the new hires in the NFL, had very little preseason expectations, but right now they are fighting for the top spot in their division, and this guy's been a buzzword coach for the first 6 weeks of the season. On May 18th, his odds to win Coach of the Year were 15-1. He, like Kingsbury, is now down to just 4-1.
Yes, Brandon Staley.
Yes,
we're talking
sir.
about the
Brandon
Agate,
Staley.
the Agate coach. Yeah, and for me, he was a former. If you ever worked on a sports desk, if you know what the Agate print is, he used to be one of those guys back in the day. I forget what small paper he worked at, but. Thinking about for Brandon Staley, I mean, I guess we're sports bettors. Talk about a gambler. Is there any bigger gambler right now when it comes to making decisions on fourth down to go for it, bypassing punts, bypassing field goal kicks? Go for it on fourth. Let's rock and roll. Let's roll the dice. That's going to be somebody. If you're thinking about Brandon Staley here of getting involved, I mean, why not at this point? I mean, the numbers are so short now, but I think the Chargers, I think there were some expectations for the Chargers, but I didn't really know what it was going to look like for them anytime you have a new coach coming on. Doesn't mean that these new coaches can't get in there and do well. I just typically I want to assess the first month. Well, great job so far. And I think it was a tough spot last week going on the road at Baltimore. Some of the injuries that we saw in some really high-level games. I think that game 2 weeks prior, that game at home that they won against the Cleveland Browns, took a lot out of both, not only the Chargers, but a ton out of the Browns, too. We saw both teams really kind of flat last week in their matchups. I'll give them a pass on that. Bye week came at a great time here for the Chargers. Maybe I'd consider it, but I just hate missing those big numbers when we're late to the party, and in this case here, I'm definitely late to party getting involved with Brandon Staley, but a tremendous job so far of what he's done coming in as a young coach, new coach, and a gambling coach. Got to love that as a sports bettor, Brady.
Yeah, he's making a splash and making a lot of noise, and I would consider a bet on Brandon Staley as well. I think his team is going to have a lot of success this year, might win that conference, might go to the Super Bowl, but I love this guy's style and, different. Obviously Kingsbury's making a splash as well, undefeated, but I mean, everybody knows what Brandon Staley's doing. I think he's maybe making more of an impression. We will see. So I would consider that one as well. All right, last coach here. He's led his team to a 4-2 start. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL, ranking second in the league at almost 34 points per game. Their defense is best in the league, only allowing 16.3 points per game. And it was the third highest season win total preseason, set at 11. Looks like this team will be able to get there off to a 4-2 start. On May 18th, this guy's odds to win Coach of the Year were 18-1. They are currently 8-1, James.
McDermott?
Yep,
Buffalo?
Sean McDermott, Buffalo Bills. And,
okay.
and for me, this is another one I would consider. He was kind of snubbed a little bit last year. Stefanski got it over him maybe. Obviously, this guy has his team rolling. I'd consider this one for sure.
Sure would have helped to convert that fourth down. I was always got to be a sneak off. Just get behind, just burrow behind the center. You don't need to get into that A gap, especially for somebody like me who was just needing the Bills just to win the game outright as the last leg of it was a money line parlay is what I had. But that being said, I think this thing about where the Bills are going to end up, already a big impressive win on the road at Kansas City a few weeks back on Sunday Night Football, and then just that division in the AFC East. I mean, clearly they should be the odds-on favorite to thinking about Baltimore Ravens in the AFC too, how well they've played, but they're a tough division, a ton of division games coming up for the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Bills are going to be the number one seed in the AFC, and what did you say, 8-1?
Yeah, I like that number. That's pretty good at 8-1.
Yeah, I do too. I think I'll consider it. I'm leaning towards booking it, but right now I'll just consider it.
That's the one I like the best. Twice the price of Kingsbury and Brandon Staley on Sean McDermott to win NFL Head Coach of the Year. When we come back, we dive back into the games. We've got a post-London matchup, the Dolphins and the Falcons, right here on the Pro Football Blitz.